The film begins by showing an entertainer who is rehearsing his exchanges. In the film, he is a minister and he needs to exorcise a young lady. There were a few sacred sections in the content that he was perusing. And keeping in mind that perusing, we see that unexpectedly the lights of this set began gleaming. The room wherein he was standing, that room began shaking quick. What's more, abruptly, something undetectable went after the entertainer and killed him. The scene cuts here and we are shown Lee and Anthony. Anthony is a perilous substance fiend. Along these lines, his and his little girl's relationship is exceptionally awful. His little girl didn't actually call him father. And this is since Anthony's significant other passed on. Before his significant other's mishap, Anthony used to be an entertainer. In any case, after that mishap, he got dependent on perilous substances and left the entirety of his work. Presently, subsequent to living in a recovery place for around 2 years, Anthony had become very steady. That is the reason he began getting jobs in films once more. What's more, presently he was given the job of the entertainer who we have seen kicking the bucket in the film. Subsequent to getting this job, Anthony was exceptionally blissful. He goes to the congregation and admits he had committed a great deal of errors in his day-to-day existence. After his significant other's passing, he destroyed his loved ones. He moved dependent and moved away from his little girl. However, presently he needed to fix everything. He needed to work in a bank and come near his little girl. What's more, simultaneously, he needed to give harmony to his better half spirit. Anthony currently returns home, where he and Lee discussion about work. Lee likewise didn't have some work. That is the reason she turned into Anthony's own associate. Be that as it may, presently the shooting begins. Lee used to come to the shooting with her father, where she additionally got the lead character of the film, Blake, with whom she turned out to be old buddies. Blake shows her this entire set. What's more, when these individuals pass by where 2 robots were lying, when he saw Lee, a robot began igniting in a bizarre way. In any case, the shooting begins now. Furthermore, Anthony converses with the minister on the shooting set about his personality. At the point when these individuals were discussing a few refrains of the Holy Book, we saw that Anthony's nose began dying. Be that as it may, Anthony overlooked this, feeling that this could be a symptom of his medications. The location of the burial service is covered well indeed. From that point onward, Lee and Anthony come to their home. Around midnight, when Lee was utilizing her telephone, then she heard an unusual sound from her parlor. At the point when she went to check, the entryway of the other room was locked. Then, at that point, somebody turned on the kitchen tap. When she went to the kitchen and shut the tap, then, at that point, she heard the lock opening. The entryway was presently open, which was locked previously. Also, there was nobody inside. She was going to disregard everything and go to her room. However, at that point she saw Anthony, her father, remaining in the passage. Lee went to him. He was murmuring something. Lee gets him and stimulates him, as a result of which Anthony gets terrified briefly. However, at that point, he believed that perhaps he was resting. The following day, when Anthony goes for the shooting and is rehearsing the discourse, he couldn't do this competently. The chief was additionally furious at this point. The chief tells him, "You recollect each awful thing that will occur in your life. Perhaps then you will actually want to give your miserable articulation well." What's more, here we are shown a flashback of his experience growing up, when he used to live in a religious circle. Also, the father used to manhandle the kids there. In any case, Anthony begins rehearsing his discourse once more. This time, when he opened these exchange papers, there was a composed thing inside. There were evil presence drawings inside, and it was written, "Anthony, nobody can save you from me in this." He opens his cabinet with the discourse papers to take something. He sees a cross in the cabinet. When he shows the cross, abruptly in the flashback, his experience growing up life is additionally shown, where he used to have a similar cross prior. Presently, in some time, Lee comes here and asks him, "Could it be said that you are having any issue? For what reason would you say you are not ready to convey the discourse?" Then, at that point, Anthony says, "I am not ready to convey the blessed expressions of the book of scriptures as a discourse." Accordingly, she says, "This is on the grounds that your confidence in God is somewhat less. You put stock in God, furthermore, in yourself. Then, at that point, this work will appear simple to you." In the wake of hearing this, he gets up. When he got up, he began feeling lightheaded. He tells Lee, "I ought to go to my room and rest." At the point when Lee said okay, he left from here. In any case, not to his room, but rather to the cellar. Lee likewise found this as peculiar. Lee followed him. "You ought to go to the specialist soon." This time, Anthony was overlooking her words. While we were seeing Lee's body, which was likewise an affirmation that he is in control of some abhorrent thing. Some malevolent power has taken him in its hold. This imprint, as though it came to his body for a couple of moments and then left. On the film set, the chief, maker, and any co-entertainer could not have liked his acting. That is the reason, once more, he lashes out and depletes. While here, Father Lee asks Lee, "Is what's going on in this film? Do you have faith in it?" Lee answers, "It was not previously. However, what I have seen this evening. After that, I'm beginning to trust something." After that, Lee returns home. He sees that Anthony had returned home before him. His hands were gravely harmed. Blood was moving from his body. Also, his face was practically something similar. Around then, Lee shares with him, "You began the hazardous substance once more. You returned to the existence I loathed. That is the reason I won't remain with you any longer." In the wake of hearing this, he went off the deep end with outrage. He yelled so noisily. All the glass things in the room broke. And afterward, he came before his little girl's case. He tells Lee, "Where will you go? You have no school, no mother. You will remain with me in Bacham. Miss Ulgat." Lee gets extremely terrified. "What's more," says out of resentment, "Anthony, avoid me. Because of this," he says, "I'm not Anthony." Lee was extremely terrified. The following day, she goes to the shooting set. Furthermore, meets her dad. Furthermore, tells her dad all the circumstance of Anthony. Anthony, presently in the evening, in the washroom, he used to say something, which he had recorded. At the point when father hears this, he likewise gets frightened, since this matter was exceptionally enormous. In this recording, Anthony himself was calling Devil Moloch. What's more, this was an exceptionally perilous thing. Father tells Lee, "You go to your home. Before I do anything, evil spirit Moloch. Also, I maintain that should do more research on Anthony. It is displayed in the evening." At the point when father was investigating on evil presence Moloch, then Anthony was enduring without question. Furthermore, here, father's child was likewise feeling an odd energy. Here, a flashback of Anthony's life is shown, where he was a youngster. He went to father's room. Furthermore, father mishandled him. Presently, it was the ideal opportunity for the shooting. Anthony attempts to say his exchanges. However, there was very little fun in his acting. Everybody pounds him. What's more, with this, Anthony lashes out. He tosses the cross in his grasp. What's more, gets down from the steps. While hitting his hand, his eyes were totally white, as though something had him. When he got down from the steps, peculiarly, his body began to turn. His back turned the other way. What's more, this was not simply once. Be that as it may, happened commonly. After which, at the point when Lee attempts to stop him, saying, "Anthony, stop," so he, once more, answers something very similar. Anthony didn't kick the bucket. After which, he once more begun to hit his head on the table. Subsequent to seeing this, Chief replaces Anthony with another entertainer. Furthermore, when that entertainer was practicing his discourse, then Anthony put a glass in his eyes. Furthermore, killed him. Along these lines, the shooting of this film was halted, in view of which, the fundamental person was likewise exceptionally vexed. She was vexed. Solely brought her home, where Anthony once more gone after the two of them. Since the two of them blew up, also advised her to leave. In the wake of hearing this, Anthony leaped through of the window. Yet, the astounding thing was, he didn't drop through of the window, yet vanished someplace. Chief, the two of them go to the dad. Furthermore, let him know this. Accordingly, the dad tells them that your father is moved by the evil presence Moloch. What's more, presently he will be found where the belonging began. That is, on the arrangement of the shooting. Presently Lee, at the point when she came to the film set, she saw a book of scriptures lying before her. When she goes inside the space to get it, unexpectedly, behind her, Anthony comes and stands. Apprehensive, she begins perusing the good book refrain. Furthermore, Anthony, that is, that devil, presently alongside him, peruse a similar refrain. When the section doesn't influence him by any means, the evil presence tells him that I have been paying attention to this for a really long time. Also, presently, it doesn't chip away at me. Presently Lee tells the evil spirit, if it's not too much trouble, leave Anthony. He is kicking the bucket. Accordingly, the devil says, he has been kicking the bucket for a really long time. When he says this, the devil assaults Lee. In any case, Lee had a cross in his grasp right now, which he puts on the top of the evil presence. What's more, the devil leaves him this cross. As a result of putting it on his head, the devil's powers was somewhat low. In such a circumstance, where the dad and dark evil spirit had deadened, he additionally leaves his situation. Presently the dad tells the evil spirit, you leave Anthony's body. Furthermore, come inside me. Since the dad himself couldn't exorcise Anthony, the devil too, paying attention to him, leaves Anthony. Furthermore, the father comes inside. From here, the film goes into flashback. Furthermore, we are shown this explanation of why that devil had just gotten Anthony. All things considered, Anthony, in his childhood, when he used to live in the community, the father used to mishandle him. What's more, subsequent to mishandling, he used to make a cross on his head. That is, there, God was not needed. There, the evil spirit was venerated. The evil spirit, that is, the evil spirit was venerated. This injury was to Anthony since adolescence, and this became his shortcoming, due to which the evil spirit had him. The scenes again shift to the present, where now, in the father's body, he is an evil spirit. To save the father, Anthony gets the sacred cross here and starts reading the Bible verse. Presently, his stanza was showing an impact on the evil spirit, since he was out of his childhood injury. What's more, keeping faith in God, he was reading this verse. Furthermore, like this, that devil becomes weak and leaves the father. In the last scene of the story, we are shown Anthony and Lee, who were carrying on with their ordinary lives. Anthony used to go to church regularly, while Lee was writing the remainder of the story with him. What's more, also, she wanted to make a film by showing it. The film's story ends here.